Pranjal. Do I see Pranjal here? Yeah. Pranjal,
Yes, good
good
afternoon, ma'am.
afternoon. Have you taken permission?
Yes, ma'am. I've sent the email.
You did? I don't
Yes,
remember
ma'am.
the name.
Ma'am Pranjal Chaudhary.
Yeah, I can see this here. I'm trying to see where is your email. Oh, you sent a mail which I have not replied, 4:51 p.m. today
Yes,
when the class was at 4:45. You have sent me a mail.
yes, ma'am.
That's okay. Which section are you in?
Ma'am, I'm from CLC.
Okay. And I'm glad that you're aware that you have to have ZX and you have that in place. That's good. So, okay. You have seen those of you who are on my dashboard, you've seen the case material, access to case material. Have you tested that out? Some no, couple of you have said yes, it's accessible. So I'm assuming everybody has access, and expect you to start reading. Because now the आप लोगों ने अपने पाँव पे खुद कुल्हाड़ी मारी पूछ के कि मटेरियल कब मिलेगा. You perhaps didn't realize that material is already ready. So now that you've asked for material, it's time for you to read. Tomorrow, any volunteers for tomorrow presenting any reading from topic 1? Okay, I want to clarify today is technically speaking a tutorial class. So which means that ordinarily there are any questions, anything which you need more clarification about, you want to raise something of concern to you relating to the subject matter, this is the class for it. But I'll also plan ordinary course of our lectures by Monday, maybe by tonight or maybe tomorrow. You will get a day by day schedule for this course. And we will try and focus, we'll try and follow the dates and the reading list for the day, whatever activity is listed. And usually I keep the tutorial class vacant so that if there's a leftover discussion, if there's something else to be used, we can use that day exclusive for that purpose. So we'll follow that pattern, but it's not that on the tutorial class you will not have a class. It's never going to be. You will have a class, and most often we'll have something new also to discuss on the tutorial class. It's not going to be only that I wait passively, or do you have a question? You don't have a question, okay, go home. Tutorial class will not work that way. Tutorial class will be a substantive class, either revising what we have talked about so far, or clarifying anything, or maybe something new. There is neither the two are very important, or something is not troubling you. So, as a beginning, I know that some of you have been regularly attending from day one. Day one was just 10, 12 students, but then after that, I had more students in the class. So those of you who have attended the previous 3 classes, the one on last Thursday, then Monday and Tuesday, do you want to recall any one thing which you learned or which got revised for you in these discussions? This is for the benefit of those who have come for the first time today. So Ananya, do you want to make a beginning?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so anything you want to share which you thought was important and interesting?
One thing was that that really kind of made me think about the recent amendment which came about the housewife thing we were discussing, and how I did not connect it with that. It still somehow goes back to in relation to the male perspective,
Mm-hmm.
the thing we discussed about the housewife. A
Mm-hmm.
housewife of a person who is earning more and a housewife of a person who is earning less. If you are talking about the payment, about the basic thing that it should be considered as an employment,
Mm-hmm.
then we are still connecting that the work of an housewife with that of a male partner, and we are connecting it how much the husband is earning, and with that amount you are deciding the payment or pay scale of that person. So I guess one
Mhm.
really thing which made me, inspired me to read more about that and how we can solve such issues. Like I'm giving it a read to see the whole judgment and to know from where we can eradicate this thing that we are not supposed to relate everything to men. Like feminism is not related everything to men, that we have to be better than them. We are not supposed to include them in everything. It's about equality. It's not better than, in connection with men at every point of time.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
whatever.
that was for, remember, that was new for me also. It happened to me in
Yes,
the
yes,
class.
yes.
I didn't think about it on those lines when I first saw the headlines.
So
So
that is
yeah,
the,
but yeah, one thing, Ananya, be clear that it is not an amendment; it's a judicial
it's
decision.
a judicial decision. Yes,
So as lawyers, we need to be picking up our words carefully and appropriately.
yes,
So
yes.
the moment if it was an amendment, it will seem like it's an amendment in the law made by legislature.
Yes,
Even though it actually is, virtually speaking, it is an amendment because the law laid down by judiciary, Supreme Court is also the law of the country under Article 144. But we still need to be careful in choosing our words. Oh,
yes.
okay. That reminds me, before we move on to somebody else, today's whose turn it is to keep their videos on?
We have. I don't think so. We have discussed about that in our private
We
group.
did, we did, we did. We said that 27 alphabets. We have 4 days of classes. So divide 26, na? अभी तो मैंने उसने 26% बोला था. So 26 alphabets divided by 4, and the alphabet, the first कितना होता है? कितना हुआ? 6, na? So first 6 alphabets are up to. So every day, 6 alphabets have to, people belonging to those alphabets have to keep their videos on. At least one person must represent one alphabet. So minimum 6 people have to have their videos on. So today is which alphabet's turn it is?
Ma'am, A to F.
Sorry?
Ma'am, A to F.
E to S कैसे होगा?
Ma'am, A to F. A to F.
F. नहीं, आज तो मंडे थोड़ी है, आज तो वेडनेसडे है.
मैम फर्स्ट डे रैंडम हुआ था
नहीं, because some people decided that irrespective of the day, they are going to keep their videos on. So that was it. But the principle was very clear. A to F is day 1, Mondays. Then G, H, I, J, K, and L on Tuesdays. M, N, O, P, Q, R. So everybody who has got these alphabets in your names, your names are starting with this alphabet, M, N, O, P, Q, R. You have to make sure that at least one person with that alphabet has the video on. S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. तो ज्यादा अल्फाबेट्स नहीं होंगे? A, B, C, D, E, F. तो 3 फालतू ना, तो X में हमारे यहाँ कोई नहीं होता है, और everybody else is the 4th day from S onwards. So Mahima has come on video, and anybody with N, Mahip, चलो A तो हो गया ना represent, I let that pass. M, N, O, P, Q, R. And Nitu, your turn. Anybody with R? So Nitu is the defaulting one. Nitu? Okay, I'll teach 3 people then today. Let me get to my mode of show only people with videos. So, all right, anybody else who wants to, even if your video is not on, you can still speak. So anyone who wants to share any learning from your previous classes? So those of you who were not in the class, is the sharing of the information about.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, Ayushi.
Ma'am, in one of the classes we discussed Arun Kumar case. Ma'am, I read that
Hold on, Ayushi.
afterwards.
Let me just, because I'm not very sure whether the others got the context of what was just talked about. We were talking about this Supreme Court judgment in the recently in the newspapers, and we have incorporated that judgment in your case materials as well, where the Supreme Court has said that housewives' contribution is quite a lot, and it had, when in this case the husband and wife both had died in a road accident. The compensation was computed by reference to the husband's income, and wife's loss of life was counted at a much lower compensation. So the Supreme Court in that one has changed, and it was big headlines in the newspaper saying that wife's contribution is as much as the husband's contribution is, and therefore compensation in case of her death will be determined by reference to the husband's income. And when kind of we focused on it, we realized, and we were talking about it earlier, that when we think of human beings, even though we talk about men as inclusive of women, but most of our laws have standard the men in the society as the standard to determine what women should get. And this judgment reflects that very categorically, actually incorporates the same thing. So we were saying that women's work, even though it's a very progressive judgment, because earlier the compensation for a wife's death was equivalent to an unskilled worker. Then it was changed, and the court said no, she's not an unskilled worker. She is a skilled, semi-skilled worker. So slightly more. And now we have moved away forward, saying that no, her work is equivalent, her contribution to the family is that of the husband. So it will seem like it's a huge leap forward. But if you were to look at from the perspective of how do you determine what is woman's worth, this case is a very good example of saying you determine it by reference to what is the man worth, not what her work is worth. Because how is when you look at a laborer's wife, she does the same thing which a professor's wife does or a doctor's wife does. In fact, higher the economic level, the woman's physical contribution in the household decreases, because then she is able to have servants and maids to help her in the discharge of family responsibility. So actually, when you look at and suppose we assume, and actually we reinforce that women's appropriate places in the home, and they have to look after the family. But how much is that work worth is the subject of discussion. And this judgment says her worth is as much as the worth of the husband is. So the husband doesn't earn, her work is also not equivalent. But her work is the same whether the husband earns or doesn't earn, or whether it earns millions. Her work of looking after the family doesn't change. So that criteria of determining how much is a woman's life worth is determined by what is the worth of the husband, rather than what is the worth of her own work or her contribution of her work in the family life. So that was the point which was made. First, it was made by whom? I forget now the name. Who spoke?
Ananya.
Ananya. Yeah, I asked Ananya. So that was the context. So now there was somebody with A who wanted to make the second point.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when we
Yes,
discussed the
Ayushi.
Arun Kumar case, ma'am, in that case, the two terms are very much used: gender identity and gender expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am, can you explain a bit more the difference between the two? Is it
We'll
that
we'll come
identity?
to these technicalities. We'll come to these technicalities. But what was Arun Kumar case about? You can tell the others.
Ma'am, it was that the wife was a trans woman, and the temple, the registrar of marriage, he declined to register the marriage, and then the case was put up before the Madras High Court, where it was said that the women also includes the trans women.
And Therefore,
And then, therefore, he directed the registrar to register the marriage.
because it was said to know that the court held that it was a valid marriage under the Hindu Marriage Act.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's
Yes,
an
ma'am.
important point. And we were talking about this case in the context, no, and that kind of the issue about. So this one was a case pursuant to Nalsa judgment. Nalsa, which has said that there is a third category of human beings also. Human beings are not divided generally only into binaries of men and women. There are a third category also. And they should also be given rights. But they did not talk about, they have not given any specific directions about all aspects of their lives. Nalsa judgment is limited to employment and education.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what about their personal life? What about their personal laws application to them? All that has been left closed, and therefore, this is a progressive step in that sense. But at the same time, it is taking cognizance of those trans persons who have chosen to identify themselves as man or woman. But if they decide to be a third, will the court still recognize their marriage? And that has also, in the contextually presently, we do know that the Delhi High Court is dealing with 3 petitions challenging the or asking for recognition of same-sex marriages. All the 3 legislations under the Hindu Marriage Act, Special Marriage Act, as well as the Foreign Marriage Act, all the 3 are under challenge. So, okay, good point. We'll come back to your query also because we'll talk about Arun Kumar in much greater detail. We'll read the judgment and come back to it. And we have to yet, get ourselves educated on the terminology. I'm quite sure that most of us do not make a distinction between gay and homosexual. But there is a difference. We do not think that lesbian and homosexual is the same terminology, whether homosexual is only referring to men or is referring to other people. There are lots of technicalities, technical words and meanings which we are not familiar with, and we will come back to that. So, okay, what else? Anybody else who has attended earlier classes and something struck you?
Ma'am,
Yes, Meda?
ma'am, one thing I found very interesting was that how motherhood is a biological reality, but fatherhood is a fiction. We discussed it yesterday. So
Mm-hmm.
I was reading a book also, and like this thing attracted me a lot. That like this, like how a biological reality which is suiting women was actually used by men to reinforce patriarchy or something which gave rise to patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that we were trying to understand that all our laws say father is the natural guardian of children. How does the father becomes the natural guardian? So that was the only technical route through which the fatherhood could be recognized and the connection of this man to this child could be recognized. But remember, very interesting contrast when you look at the general principle is father is the natural guardian of children, but do you know which children? Legitimate children. Is not the natural guardian of the illegitimate child. So illegitimate child, which attracts a lot of social stigma, the mother is identifiable, father has got nothing to do with that child. And the child does not come into existence because of marriage. Child comes into existence because of union of the male and the female body and the sperm and the egg. So that reality is denied by the law, which only looks at marriage as the institution to determine who gets the honor of being the father and the guardian. The fact that there is unwed relationships or outside the relationship, there are this whole concept. We do not say legitimate parents. If we were to say legitimacy is available to you, to father and mother the children after marriage, then the parents should be legitimate. Children come into existence not because of marriage. They come into existence because of the union of the parents. So the law does not take cognizance of that aspect also. So the reverse of it also is very important to keep track of. That father is the natural guardian only in case of legitimate children. So, okay, anything else?
We also discussed about the issues that might come across the case which is probably take place, the issues in same-sex marriages. What will come, what the issues will come if they will legalize the same-sex marriages. Now, since the relationship of same-sex relationships have been legalized, now what are the consequences of same-sex marriage, legalization of same-sex marriages?
Yeah, so we were kind of not very clear whether because what I was asking all of you was to think about that now the court has given, Delhi High Court has given the government I think 3 weeks time to submit their affidavit. So what do we think that the government is going to say? And we do know that in Navtej Singh Johar, they said as long as the same sexual relationships are concerned, we do not have an objection. But if there's anything else to follow, then we will file a detailed affidavit. So then the responses on behalf of the government, the imagined responses on behalf of the government were that, then there is no law relating to their inheritance right, there is no laws relating to maintenance, and those kinds of things were there. So the question I was asking is that all these reservations are coming because we do not want to have same-sex people marry, because all these technicalities can, automatically can be removed. Now look at Jammu and Kashmir abolition of 370. The moment government decided to say that no, 370 has to be abolished from the constitution, special status of Jammu and Kashmir has to go, immediately all the laws were made applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. A long list thing came. So that notification can come that wherever the reference is to man and woman, it will mean to refer to person, and it doesn't matter what is the sex of the person. That's the only one notification we require to deal with that matter for that. If we did not have an objection to the marriage. So what is the objection to the marriage? So I do not want to hear the objection because there's no other law. But there is no law to deal with same-sex marriage also. So therefore, the changes in the other laws are not going to come before you recognize the same-sex marriage. Other changes in the other laws will be required only if we recognize the same-sex marriage. So therefore, we have to be clear in our thinking that why are we referring to the technicalities of the law to deal with the consequences of such marriages will not be handled, because they will have to be handled once we recognize the same-sex marriage. What do you think is the purpose? What are the purposes of marriage?
Social security.
For women or for men?
For both.
Do men get social security by marriage? Look at all the jokes we have on wives.
No, ma'am, it's for both, ma'am. Like,
what kind of social security? No, tell me. What? Spell it out. Reconstruct. What kind of social security men get out of marriage?
I will take a moment.
Let's do the other way around. What kind of social security the woman get from marriage? One is economic security. What are the other securities?
Ma'am, there is a kind of system, like getting married, having a family, and the family is the unit of any country, to how to explain it?
Think.
Ma'am,
Now think of the people around you. There might be a man, let's say 45 years old, who is not married. And there is another woman, 45 years old, who is also not married. Whether the social perception about both these two unmarried people are the same or they're different.
It's different.
They are different.
At the age of 45, whether the man is still likely to marry and the woman is also likely to marry. Not that no one will. They do. People marry at 89 also. So that's a different story, exceptions, cases apart. So what is the difference in the perception if there is a 45-year-old single man and there's a 45-year-old single woman?
Man is likely to get married now.
Okay. Apart from marriage, while they're not married. The man can have as many affairs he wants. Can the woman have as many affairs as she wants? So control of sexuality is also there.
Yeah, ma'am. Social stigma.
45-year-old man is not 45-year-old man is not expected to be virgin. 45-year-old woman would still be expected to be a virgin. And if she is not married and she is not working, and if she is married, she is not married and working, the status is very different. Women, why do you think? You know, I'm leading you to think more. You've seen women in domestic violence, domestic abuse cases. For years, they live with that abuse. Why do you think? And some of them would want to take a judicial separation, but not divorce. Why do they need or want that tag of a divorcee? No, they do not want to have the tag or this consequence of divorce.
There's a
What
lot of
is the difference which will happen to a woman who is a divorcee and another woman who is under judicial separation?
Ma'am, it makes the women more vulnerable to exploitation in terms of physically, like sexual exploitation. She becomes more
Precisely.
vulnerable.
Single women are seen available by
Yes.
anybody. They don't want to have that tag of availability. For the man, it doesn't matter. So women do get a security from aggression, sexual aggression primarily, from other men in the name of marriage. So that's what I understand in terms of social security for women in marriage.
Ma'am,
G. And also, they get the name and they usually get because our marriages are usually hypergamous. And hypergamous means that the man will be older, the man will be more educated, the man will have slightly better financial status, will have better wealth, will be taller. Everything has to be better than. So she is improving her status by marriage. Manner ordinarily marriages happen in India. So she certainly gets a better status by that marriage in the eyes of the society. What happens to her in the home is a different story. So what does the man get? Trophy wife is one category. He can show off the wife. I've got such a beautiful wife. Apart from that, what social security is that only when you're thinking about that it provides social security. What social security do the men get?
Ma'am, they get to carry forward their family name.
Yeah, the men get to take their name forward. So then, in that sense, woman loses her identity.
Yes.
So she doesn't get security in that sense that her name is completely lost in the whole transaction. Many times, even her first name is changed after marriage, not only the second name. So she loses her complete identity by marriage. So that's not really, she is kind of compensating that, okay, my higher status in family, in this good family I've got. And that is the expectation at the cost of her own identity being completely vanquished. Returning back, anybody else can join in this conversation. We are asking the question, why is marriage important? What is it that the institution of marriage does? So it provides a secure space to children, offspring of the family. So I was saying, what are the purposes of marriage? That was the question I asked. She said that one of the purposes is to get social security. So that we are questioning, it's plus and minus. What are the other reasons? What are the other purposes because of which marriage should be there?
Ma'am, it also preserves other social institutions like that of caste and class. marriage in general because
But is that the reason for getting married? For an individual person.
Mhm.
So we recognize sexual pleasure is one of the important things which happen. Usually we talk about two things. One we say progeny, and one we say is sexual satisfaction. So sexual pleasure and producing the next generation is an are considered as primary two purposes. Then, of course, there is companionship, there is dependency, there is help and love and affection. Thousand other things are there. But primarily, that two are seen to be two purposes of marriage.
Ma'am, along
Same
with
sex, yeah,
sorry, ma'am. Along with sexual labor, I think physical labor of women is also a factor in getting married because
that's for
she
the men. That's for the men. But when it comes to sexual pleasure and progeny, it's for both.
it's a good.
Both of them participate in it equally. Of course, we do not recognize that women want sexual pleasure because her sexuality is supposed to be suppressed and controllable and all that kind of thing. But we do know that women also derive pleasure in the activity and they also produce children. So progeny and pleasure are the two P's seen as the primary purposes of marriage, and everything is connected with that. So the major objection to same-sex marriage would be that these people cannot produce. So will that be reason enough to say they can't marry? What would be
No,
your
ma'am.
counter argument to that?
No, ma'am, we cannot say like if they cannot produce children, they cannot get married. So what about like the couple who are unfertile or who cannot produce children? So they are getting married. So why not the same gender or like same sex marriage should be like valid one?
Okay, so if the couple is infertile, what is the remedy available? When I'm
Adoption.
saying couple, I'm not saying couple. I'm
Adoption.
not saying couple. It will be one partner. Maybe sometime both, but usually it is one partner which cannot produce. Either the sperm is not is weak, or the egg is not proper, or she doesn't have the uterus is not holding pregnancy. Any of these reasons might be there, or the copulation is just not happening. Copulation not happening, then no fault. But if we say that one has a biological deficiency, so what happens if the couple is not capable of producing a child because one of them is infertile? What is the remedy available? One is adoption.
Surrogacy. I'm not aware about the laws related to surrogacy, but surrogacy is also one of the ways you can have a
Okay.
child.
So
Adoption.
why do we permit surrogacy and adoption to people who are married but not able to produce their own child? Can they
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
divorce?
because it is desirable in the eyes of society that a man and a woman must have children. That's why
Avishka,
it
why you are
provides with
appearing
an
in two
option.
places?
It
Avishka,
provides with the option.
you are appearing in two places.
Ma'am, I don't know.
No,
I'll exit and join again.
you are logged in only in one device or two devices.
Just one device, ma'am.
That's perfect. You got it too.
Ma'am, I'll join.
Sorry, I missed what you said. About this whole thing about why does the law permit adoption or
Ma'am,
surrogacy?
because it is desirable in the eyes of society that a man and a woman should have children. That's why it provides them with option that even if they are not able to conceive on their own, they can go for surrogacy or adoption.
You really think so? That's the reason. Then anybody should be able to adopt. Why should only married couple?
Ma'am, surrogacy is also allowed for those couple who like do not want to produce kids on their own, right? Like even if
Yeah,
they are fertile enough
in the proposal, yes.
and they can just ask someone
Yeah,
else.
no, we'll again be looking at all these legislations also, but I'm still on the basic question that why does the law says go for adoption and not divorce if you cannot produce your own child? Law would have said also this one, you divorce. Because one of the main purposes is to produce children. The law did not say, oh, you can take a divorce.
Ma'am, can we go a little back to the jurisprudence on which our Hindu Marriage Act is based on, which focuses on not breaking up of a house
Mhm.
because of the previous laws or customs in which marriage is considered as a sacred. Now it is a contract, but previously it is considered as a sacred.
Hindu marriage still we say is a sacrament. It's not a contract.
Okay, it's a sacrament. Yeah.
Mm.
So probably that's why, because our jurisprudence asks us, so I can give that reason for Hindu marriages, that this is one of the reasons they are like, you can go for an adoption rather divorce.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But then, why does the law say that if one of the partners has been infertile from the beginning of the marriage, then you can annul that marriage? If that was the reason that no, once you take the pheras, then these are unbreakable. Then even if you take a pheras with the impotent man or the impotent woman, then you should not have that relief of getting out of this union. But we
Yeah.
have permitted.
Uh, uh,
Section what your 10 and 11, I forget not section numbers. Also, Hindu
Actually, I've
marriage
read
act.
about this.
Impotency is a ground for annulment of marriages. It's a valid marriage, but a voidable marriage. Yes, Anand.
Can I
But
add
isn't it
something to that?
true?
I've read about this impotency because this literally, kind of got my attention. And while reading that, I understood that impotency relates to, in Hindu marriage, not able to have a sexual relation, proper sexual relation. But
Yes.
if you are
So
infertile, that
when you're saying sexual relation, we're talking about pleasure.
pleasure.
That you cannot give pleasure, sexual pleasure to the other partner
You're
because
not
of your
able to have a
impotency.
population, you can say, not able to cohabit for the reason that you're not able to have a proper sexual relation. It
Yeah, but sexual relation results into two consequences. One is pleasure, the other is progeny. So progeny is taken care of by adoption.
hmm,
What is pleasure taken care of?
uh, that
It's not
comes
taken care of. Therefore, say, okay, you can annul. So you are saying by Hindu Marriage Act, we're categorically saying that the ability to provide sexual pleasure to the other is essential. The ability to produce the child for the other and for yourself is not essential. That gap you can fulfill by having an adoption also, by surrogacy also. So very categorically, pleasure in the relationship has been given hierarchy to progeny. So in the same-sex marriages, pleasure exists. Progeny doesn't exist. Therefore, that should not be a problem. So what are our other logical questions? We say it is immoral. So immorality question has been now already taken care of by the Section 377 changes. Before the rationale for 377 criminalization was that it is immoral, it is not correct, it destroys the moral fabric of the society, people who are indulging in same-sex relationships. So all that has now been set aside by the Supreme Court ruling saying that no, this cannot be criminalized. Sex is a personal privacy sphere, and therefore the state cannot intervene as to what kind of sex you will have with your partners, as long as they're adults and they're consenting. So consenting adult sexual activities are outside the purview of the law. And certainly the same-sex couples are having the pleasure relationship with each other. The only thing they cannot produce from their body is the progeny. But that has not been made as a ground for not permitting people to marry. We do not say, oh, first to go and get yourself checked whether you are able to produce children or not. We're not made that medical test compulsory at all. So there may be two kinds of people. One, you were referring to that people who are not able to, and the others who decide not to. So them we have said, oh, you can go for surrogacy. Not only adoption, because when you say adoption, you're talking about a child who's not connected with you. But in surrogacy, there are three possibilities. Only the wife is genetically connected with the baby. Only the husband is genetically connected with the baby. Neither of them is connected with the baby, but they've chosen the baby. They've got a manufactured baby. By saying, okay, this and this person and these two persons can decide. to copulate, and they'll have the test tube baby or whatever. They've got no genetic connection whatsoever, and I do not understand that at all. That why must you allow a couple to have a baby by surrogacy when you have got neither you nor your husband, neither the man nor the woman have got any biological connection? Your desire is to adopt a child, adopt any child, and they're already available. So anyway, we're not raising that just of now. But in any case, we have said that if you cannot produce it, or you decide not even, you even decide not to have, if it's a heterosexual couple, you can go for adoption, for surrogacy also, if not adoption. The same principle can apply to the same-sex couple also. So now what is there for us to have a resistance to a same-sex marriage? You have to think about it overnight. Look up any literature you can lay your hands on and come back and speak about it tomorrow. So everybody, please mark your attendance by writing P in the chat box. Anybody else who wants to make any point from previous classes?
One thing I want to add, ma'am,
Yes,
like
sir.
for the adoption, like just because I'm capable of producing child, that is not enough. Like I should be like capable of like taking care of the children and providing him or her a healthy environment is also important. So same-sex marriage is like should work in that context.
Yeah, but that will be true for all adoption, because adoption is not actually adoption. Basic principle is the best interest of the child, which is forgotten when it comes to surrogacy, because we do not know what is going to be the best interest of the child we are getting through surrogacy. And certainly the same safeguards you have to provide for in case of heterosexual couples or even individuals. So adoption is available to individuals also. You don't have to be married in order to adopt. A single person, man or a woman, can adopt a child. So certainly adoption, the question I was asking earlier was that why do we permit adoption? Why do we permit surrogacy? Because our studies on psychology of, and this is kind of one thing which is every living organism has, is the desire to reproduce itself, to multiply itself. When you look at trees, they also multiply. Look at human beings, they also multiply. So this is inbuilt into the living organism, that you multiply. Recently, I saw some WhatsApp message which showed about stones which multiply. So apart from that one WhatsApp video, I do not know what is the authenticity of that. It is the living organisms which reproduce themselves. So this is an inherent desire and programming of living organisms to want to reproduce. And you want to raise children as human beings. So certainly children require families. So there are lots of reasons because of which we have permitted adoption and we have permitted surrogacy on the sole argument that the desire to produce from your own body is so strong. And therefore, now that technology is available, we should allow people to do that. I am personally very against surrogacy category of a debate, and we'll talk about it when we come to it. But I said that's the rationale provided for, that because to fulfill the inherent desire of human beings to reproduce themselves.
Ma'am, I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
From last two to three classes, you were asked like how many of you feel like a man or like woman, apart from like the from gender perspective. So like getting a lot of clarity, but at the same time it's confusing me a lot. Like today I'm feeling like a woman, tomorrow I could feel like a homosexual or bisexual.
You know,
So
last semester we had a student from CLC who came to our class to speak about, and she is openly a trans woman. So, and all of us just could not understand. We could understand why a man feels a man and why a woman feels a woman. We could relate back to that, but we could not understand why a trans person says, this person She was born a male, a perfect biological male, but she thought she was a female. And she wanted to dress up, and she was beginning to start the process of medical intervention also to become a woman. So we said, how having a body of a male, you think you are a female? We could not find an answer. So we called her. I said, come to our class and explain to us. So she said that, it's like, if you are at sea and you need to anchor, whether you're at sea and, you need to anchor. I feel that I anchor with women rather than anchoring with men. That was her explanation of how, as a trans person, she thought she was a woman. So as women and men who are, we are clear that we are women and men, we need to identify for ourselves also. Why do we think we are a woman? So think more. We'll continue. So the whole semester we're going to talk about these questions only and try to find answers for each one of us ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good to keep thinking, because the whole point of the class is to make you think and reassess and relearn, unlearn, discover new things. This is the journey in this course.
Ma'am, one thing.
Yes, again.
Ma'am, regarding surrogacy, ma'am, these days even women don't want to cut short their career because pregnancy is a huge step. And sometimes when women get pregnant, their career get cut short.
My answer to that one is not that, well, I get your point that, the desire is to have biological connection, at the same time not to disturb your body. That's the point Yagya is making, if I understood you rightly. So
Yes,
to
ma'am.
me, so that is kind of coming specifically from the point of view of my desire to produce from my body. And to that extent, perhaps it's permissible. But for me, the desire to produce from your body, I don't know, I'm quite sure this is very personal for people. Because for me, it is the minority of the people who are in this group. It is minority of the women who are in this group who are wanting to not produce a child from their body. So this is exceptional category. Usually, who are the people who are going for surrogacy are the ones who are not able to produce from their own body. Sometimes the woman's uterus is not holding the pregnancy. Sometimes she is not producing the egg. Sometimes the sperm is not appropriate for it to fertile. So if those are the circumstances, then one of the partners, certainly, excepting that when it is the uterus issue, sperm are fine, and then they are using the uterus only after fertilization of their own egg and their own sperm, then it's a properly your baby. But again, usually it is one of the partners who is not able to lead to pregnancy. So then the partner who is not able to lead the pregnancy is left out in the surrogacy business. So suppose that it is the wife who is not producing an appropriate egg and she cannot hold it. So it may be a possibility that they take an egg in donation, and that egg with the sperm of the husband is implanted in her. So she produces the body from her body, but she is still not genetically connected with the baby. Or it may be that she's not involved at all. Neither her egg is there, her uterus is not used. It is the husband's egg and somebody's husband's sperm and somebody else's egg, which is implanted into either that one or somebody else. So woman has got neither biological nor genetic connection. What is her desire, which has been fulfilled by surrogacy, is to bring up a child that she can very well do by adoption. So we are making a law for the privileged category, not the category. When we say that, somebody who doesn't want to produce, the women who don't want to produce, whether we should be encouraging that, and should we be making the law to deal with the desire of those exceptional women who are so concerned about their career they do not want an interruption. But in any case, interruption by pregnancy is only 9 months. What happens after the baby is produced and brought to your house? Are you not supposed to look after that baby? Then your career will not be affected. There are lots of questions to ask. So it's important to raise our doubts and share our thoughts. It is also important to then reflect further.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, I would
ma'am,
like.
sorry to
No,
interrupt,
no,
but
no, ma'am, no, not
we have a
tomorrow.
class tomorrow.
No, tomorrow,
We
tomorrow.
have a class now, ma'am. Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm saying tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no more discussion today. I also have a class at 6, my meditation class. I need to stop recording.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are all